Here's an interview from one of our past shows on Rock and Metal Revival. If you're interested in hearing full shows, go to our Facebook page and check out our list of affiliates for times and places where you can hear Rock and Metal Revival. There's Midnight Moses from the Dead Daisies here on Rock and Metal Revival, and the Daisies are celebrating a decade of being a killer band, man.
Nice.
With their release of a Best Of album. And with us today is a friend of the show and back at lead vocalist of this band. We want to welcome back John-Corabi. How you doing, John?
I'm good, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing well, and first off, it's great to have you back with the Daisies, but I just got to say, you were a busy man away from the band. Your time, you're touring, new music, your book. Did you get everything done you wanted to, or did you leave some projects still on the burner?
Yeah, the last thing I would like to accomplish is to become the night manager at the 7-Eleven, but other than that, I'm good to go.
Nice. Now, I read your book, and man, there was so many cool stories in there. And but one thing that jumped out at me is like you, me, and Red all got the same experience of going through a record store and seeing that Kiss Alive album and going, "Holy crap! There's got to be something really amazing on this vinyl." And what's your favorite tune off of that album?
Oh God. Let me think. I would have to say, I don't know why, I always loved Firehouse.
Yep, that groove.
Off that live record. I think probably, let me say this, I think my three favorites are Firehouse, Parasite, and Come On and Love Me.
Yeah, those are great picks off that. Hey, John, nothing against Glenn, but when you left Dead Daisies, I was kind of like, oh, man. And now you're back in the band. I'm like, I can't wait to hear some new music. How was it for you coming back after having that time off?
It was fine, dude. Honestly, we rehearsed a couple months ago. We got together and we rehearsed for about a week in New York. And it was like I never left. The guys... the cool thing about the Dead Daisies is everybody that's involved with the band, even now Michael Devin, in one capacity or another, like I've done separate things with Brian Pishy, I've done things with Michael Devin, I've done things with Doug, even after my last time with the band, I've become really good friends with David. So, it was, they understood when I said, like, I just wanted to get off the carousel for a minute because for whatever reasons it was that when I did that first record, Revolution, with the band, something happened and it just blew up. We wound up doing a tour with Kiss, a tour with Whitesnake, and then, Doug came into the fold because Richard and Dizzy went back to GNR. But man, in like 3 years, or I think it was 3 years, 15 through 18, we did like 4 albums. We were constantly on the road. And then I had my son Ian in my other ear, just reminding me how much I sucked because he had moved to Nashville from LA to be my drummer in my solo band. And he was like, oh, great, thanks. Like, I get here, we do some shows, couple tours, and now you leave to go do this band, and we never play anymore. So I just kind of wanted to get off it for a minute, and obviously COVID hit. Everybody sat around for twiddling their thumbs forever. So when Glenn this year decided that he was going to go back to doing his Deep Purple shows and Black Country Communion record, David Lowy immediately just called me on the phone. He goes, "Hey, dude, are you rested?" And I go, "Yeah, I'm good to go. Why? What's up?" And he's like, "Glenn's going to have to do his own thing. We'd love to have you come back again." And so I was like, "Count me in. Let's go." You know what I mean? It's all good.
Nice. So are you guys, when you guys play live, are you going to be singing those? Are you going to have any problem singing those Glenn Hughes songs?
No, it's going to be, there is going to be a rubber band tied around an extremity on my body.
To hit those high notes.
Yeah, no. You know what, honestly, like, we sat down and we talked, and, you know, all the guys in the band just said, look, you're not John Stevens, you're not Glenn Hughes. Mm. All we want from you is, you know, here's all the songs that we're going to do, just be Crab. Excellent. And so I'm taking some liberties, obviously, you know, because Glenn's an amazing vocalist, dude. Like, he doesn't have the moniker Voice of Rock for, you know, no reason. Yeah. So I'm just I learned the songs, and I'm just kind of doing, how would John-Corabi sing a Glenn Hughes song? I'm doing it my way. Awesome. You know what I mean? But it's, for the most part, the integrity is, you know, it's still there. So it's all good.
Cool. You know, John, over the past couple of years, you released a couple singles, Cosi Bella and Your Own Worst Enemy. Any plans to release a full album, or are you just going to do singles? Because, I mean, that seems to be the way music trends are going right now.
Well, yeah, it's weird, dude. I'm still trying. I think I talked to you when we did one of the last songs, and it's like, I'm still trying to figure this whole thing out. You know, it's a new world. It's a different world than when I first got a record deal. So I'm just trying to figure it out. At this point, you know, I'm focused on the Dead Daisies, the tour, the record that they got out. I am being featured in a Paramount Plus docuseries that's coming out called I Want to Rock. Oh, wow. And as it turned out, one of the songs that it's a new song, it's actually going to be coming out soon as well, that they featured in the docuseries. So I'm just going to quietly put it out and see what happens. But, you know, I would like to do a record, but at the end of the day, like, I don't really care about being on a record label anymore. Yeah. You know, and, you know, I don't take this the wrong way, but, you know, most of the bands that came from my era, you know, unless you're U2 or, you know, one of those guys, there's really zero support from radio or any of that stuff. So most of the records that I sell, I just sell them at my shows, and life is good. I've completely kind of resolved myself to the fact that that's how it is. And, you know, so I'm good. I at some point I'm going to do a record, put 8-10 songs on it, and I'll just sell them at my shows, at my website, through Amazon, and just call it a day. Cool. It's all good.
Okay. So now when you left the Daisies the first time, they got Glenn Hughes came in, and then they got rid of Marco Mendoza as the bass player too, because Glenn was going to do that. Now that you're back, who's going to be playing bass for the Dead Daisies?
Another very good friend, a gentleman named Michael Devin, who played for, God, I think he was in the band for like 10 or 12 years, but he was from Whitesnake. Oh, okay. And I've known Michael, God, since probably 1999. And he's a great dude. He's an East Coast guy, like he's from Boston area. And so him and I get along great. And, you know, we kind of razz each other all the time. But he's a great player, great singer, great songwriter, and just easy. Okay. So and again, that, you know, I was saying earlier today, like, we're talking to somebody and they said about they were talking about all the different players that have been in the Daisies and that they're very competent. And I said, besides the fact that everybody's competent, we're friends.
That's awesome.
So even when I was in the band, Doug and I spoke all the time. David and I spoke quite often. Management, like, I did shows in Australia, and I contacted the manager and our tour manager and sound guy, like, hey, I'm in town. We went, we had dinner, and, you know, so it's just a really kind of cool, fun, it's almost like a club, to be honest with you. Like it's just a room full of guys that can play, but we're all friends. That's the best part of it. You know what I mean? So I'm excited to be back again.
That's awesome. You know, John, a few months ago we had Jamie Brown of the band Roxanne on the show, and I was surprised to see one of my favorite Scream songs, "Man in the Moon," on their debut release. What is this? What is the story of that song and the Scream and Roxanne?
So, I guess apparently, I'm pretty sure. I think Roxanne split up. Racer X was in limbo because Paul Gilbert had left and done the Mr. Big thing. Jeff Martin, the singer from Racer X, had left and was playing drums for Badlands.
Okay.
So the other three guys, Scott Travis, Juan Alderete, and Bruce Bouillet, they needed a singer, and they had started working on songs with Jamie. And I don't know what happened or why, but it was like they were writing songs and, you know, shopping these songs, and nothing was happening. So, for whatever reason, I got a phone call from Juan and Bruce Bouillet, and they said, "Hey, you know, you want to come down and jam with us?" I went down and jammed, and we started writing songs on our own. I'm trying to do this as quickly as possible. Sorry.
Okay.
While we were writing, Scott Travis gets the phone call to join Judas Priest. We brought in Walt Woodward, and we continued writing songs. And then I went back and I sat and I listened to some, like just rough demos that they had done with Jamie. And there was 3 songs that they had. One was called "Man in the Moon." The other one was called "I Don't Care," which also appeared on our record. And the other one was a song called "Quarter to Four."
Okay.
That I just thought those 3 songs were great. And, you know, so we took "Man in the Moon" and "I Don't Care" and just completely like slowed them down, reworked them, added parts, and just all this other stuff. But Jamie actually co-wrote those songs prior to me being in the band. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
So I got to go way back to your Angora days. Now, in your book, you know, you said you guys went and recorded at Steve Vai's Mothership studio. What was that like back then? I mean,
it was great working with Steve. My drummer was a huge fan of Steve Vai's, and he had turned us on to a bunch of his solo stuff. And then obviously at the time he was with David Lee Roth and you know, Pete Angelis at the time was managing David, and he really took an interest in the band, and he just wanted us to go into Steve's studio and just do a couple demos. Mm-hmm. So we did a song, I believe a song called "Hey Operator," which Gene Simmons eventually heard and freaked out over. We did a song called "Are You Waiting?" And there was a third song I for the life of me can't remember. But working with Steve was really cool. But it was funny though, if you've read the book, you know that like we got our equipment into his studio, and it was weird. It was like you had to walk in this door and go up a flight of steps around this corner into his studio. And so we got our gear up there, and you know, he was getting things all set up and all the stuff. So one of the guys ran to McDonald's, and we just bought a bunch of burgers and fries and all the stuff. And we were sitting with the door open in, like, not in his building, like just right outside the door. And we were sitting there eating these burgers. And all of a sudden, we hear this voice yell from down, like literally the second floor, around the corner, through a doorway, in the studio, and we just hear, "Who's eating meat?" And we're like, "What?" And he could literally smell the McDonald's all the way up the thing, and he's like, "Get that, expletive out of my studio." We're like, "We're outside, dude." He goes, "Then shut the door."
Man, I tell you.
So it was the section didn't start on a positive note, but it actually wound up being really cool.
Cool.
Hey, John, over the years, I've and Jerry have really enjoyed your collaborations with Bruce Kulick. I mean, I was happy that I actually got to see Union in concert. Any thoughts about working with Bruce again?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, we never split up. Again, it was one of those things which would explain the title of my book, Horseshoes and Hand Grenades. I am the king of being at the right place, but always at the wrong time. And once again, with Union, we put this band together, and, we were writing these songs, but it's so weird. We had zero interest from any major labels. And a couple of the labels had actually said, "Oh, I really like the music. Who's in the band?" And our manager at the time explained, "Oh, yeah, it's Bruce from Kiss and John from Motley and Jamie from David Lee Roth." And, we were immediately kind of, the idea of signing us was immediately shelved because of our age, which I thought was odd.
Very.
Yeah.
So we couldn't get arrested in America. We were doing great things. We were playing Swedish Rock Festival. We're doing sold out shows all through Europe, and we would come over to America, and still, we drew pretty well in America. But it was like getting that radio support and MTV at the time, and it was just zero. So we weren't selling any records, which back then was the way you made your money.
Yeah.
Now it's kind of flipped, where it's like nobody's selling any records and you make your money from touring. But, we didn't split up on bad terms. It was just the point where all of a sudden, Bruce goes, "Well, between me, you, and the Fence Post, Grand Funk Railroad called me, and they're offering me a really good salary to come out and play guitar for them." And I was stoked for him, like we all were. And then, oddly enough, shortly after, I got asked to join Rat. And then Jamie and Brent both got asked to join Vince Neil's solo band. So it just kind of worked out where we all just went and got, for lack of a better term, financially better gigs.
Okay.
Yeah, now it's at the point where we've discussed going out and doing some shows and doing some things together, but unfortunately, it's trying to get everybody's schedule lined up where everybody's got off at the same time. Bruce is still playing with Grand Funk. He's got a solo band. I've got a solo band. I'm doing the Dead Daisies. Brent Fitz is playing with Slash and the Conspirators. And Jamie's been out. Jamie, for the last, 5, 6, 7 years, he's been playing with Roger Daltrey.
Wow.
Oh.
So everybody's doing something, you know what I mean? So it's just, we'd love to do it. It's just a matter of getting that, because we're going to need a couple weeks to blow the dust off the songs, and then you need time to set up a tour and promote it. And, so it's just, it's just one of those numbers games. Like, we just can't figure out, there just never seems to be enough time to do it. But I love the band. They, Deco just re-released all of the Union records on vinyl.
Ooh. Uh-oh.
Yeah,
I'm going shopping.
They did the first. Well, they did the first. Deco Entertainment did the first Union record, the second Union record, and then they just licensed Live in the Galaxy, and it was like couldn't keep them fast enough. They're like, they sold like immediately. So it's, again, I have a knack of I have a knack of starting bands, recording with them, and nobody cares about the record when it's out. It just takes like 20 years, you know what I mean, for it to catch up. So I'm thinking
you're just way
that
ahead.
all my new solo material now, my granddaughters are going to love me later.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I was going to say, because I can't remember, I think I paid $60 for a copy of the first Scream album.
Wow.
When it was online. You couldn't buy it at one time. It was out of print. And it was on eBay. I think I paid $60 for it to get a copy of it.
If you go on and check it out, Deco Entertainment, they've been kind of re-releasing a lot of really cool stuff that, you know, a lot of us haven't seen in a while. So, you know, check their website, because I'm constantly getting emails now on Facebook and Instagram of like new things that they're releasing.
Yeah.
So
cool.
Sweet.
Hey, John, it's no secret on this program that we are huge fans of the Motley '94 album.
Oh, yeah.
From front to back, huge fans. And it's been 26 years since you've been in Motley. Do you get tired of being dragged into all this stuff since you haven't been in the band that long? Because it seems like everybody's always asking you what your opinion is on that.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't bother me, because, look, at the end of the day, I do realize, first of all, I'm grateful for the opportunity that they gave me. B, I also realize, too, you know, that having been a part of that has actually given me, you know, I don't want to say longevity, because I've been productive, but it's just kind of kept me afloat. I can't even say that, but maybe longevity would be the word. It's given me some longevity, or, you know, some credibility, whatever. But, you know, the thing that bugs me more than anything is, like, if the questions, like, if I do an interview and the whole interview winds up, or a majority of it winds up being about Motley, that's kind of frustrating, because you want to talk about the new thing that you're doing.
Exactly.
But the other thing that irritates me is I get asked questions about that, and I give honest answers, or my opinion anyway, and it winds up becoming clickbait on God, every website ever. And then it's funny, like, you see these comments from the fans, and it kind of irritates me, because I've done this in the past where I said, you know what, I don't want to talk about that. And immediately all the comments after they wrote on all the clickbait channels, it was like, oh, John-Corabi doesn't want to talk about Motley Crue anymore. And it's like, you know, all these comments are like, oh my God, what an ungrateful bastard, you know. And it's like, you know, they gave him the opportunity of a lifetime. But then if I do talk about it, and somebody asks me opinion and I give it, they're like, oh my God, doesn't that guy have anything better to do? He's still talking about Motley Crue 26 years later. So it's, I've just kind of resolved myself to being, whatever way I go, I'm going to stick my foot in my mouth. So just start learning to enjoy the taste of my socks.
Nice. Nice. So, all right, I want to go back to the Let It Scream album, and this is a serious question now. Do you think the song You Are All I Need could have used some cowbell?
Absolutely. You know, it was funny. Somebody just asked me about the Scream earlier, and I said the one thing that album was lacking, the whole album, was cowbell.
Yeah.
You know, John, we've had you on this show I don't know how many times. And we've been trying to get Jerry on one of your projects playing the cowbell.
Yeah,
I mean,
dude,
what do we got to do?
I've been practicing for 20 years, dude.
Well,
I can hit that thing like nobody's business.
Yeah. Well, here's what I'll do. I will get you the Dead Daisies management.
There we go.
And we'll figure out, like, you know, maybe once we start our tour. You know,
there you go.
Only if we have an extra bunk in the bus.
Oh, okay.
Right. I think we could work something out.
My cowbell is like 5 foot tall, though, so might need an extra bunk for that
Yeah.
one.
Oh,
Well,
boy.
that's what they have trailers for, my friend.
John, it's always a pleasure having. Are you guys going to do more U.S. dates after the first of the year?
You know, I would love to. I got to be honest with you. Since the Daisies announced me being back, it's been pretty overwhelming, the amount of people that are like, oh, my God, I can't wait to come and see the band. I've had people write to me like, oh, are you playing in St. Louis? Are you playing in Dallas? Are you doing this or doing that, whatever? You know, right now we're focused on the Best Of record, which I believe is out now for pre-order. I think it comes out. I think
August 18th.
Yes, that's what I was going
Nice.
to say, that August 18th. But you know, and then we start the tour on the 22nd. We're doing a couple shows on the East Coast of America. Then we're going up to Canada, across Canada, and then down the West Coast. I know we've got a bunch of dates in Japan, Europe, all through Europe. And I would love nothing better than for the Daisies to come back early next year and start really do a proper, you know, American run through the Midwest and all that stuff. So
That would be awesome. Well, John, we always let our guests pick the song from their catalog out of this. And so what would you like us to play?
Stairway to Heaven.
Really? You've got a cover version of Stairway? Okay.
No, I'm kidding. Oh, you want one of my songs?
Yes, sir.
Okay, there goes your ratings. Anyway,
Not in 20 years.
you know what? Let's do, speaking of, okay, here's one. I'm going to go deep here. Let's do Dead Daisies, We All Fall Down.
Excellent,
Okay.
excellent. John-Corabi, it has always been a pleasure to have you on the show, and you're welcome back here anytime, my friend.
Awesome, boss.